Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream live on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States, which is 11 a.m. if you're in Australia or 1 a.m. if you're in the UK. And as always, if you miss the live streams, you can catch up with the premiere event streams on a Friday and Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time in the US, which is 8 a.m. in Australia or 10 p.m. if you're in the UK. I hope all you guys and girls are well, and yo to you too, Smurfberry Barbecue. Good to see you, buddy. I saw you posted some images of the photogrammetry stuff you are doing in the that you're doing on the Discord server in the gallery section. You guys should check those out. They're looking cool. I see the brickwork looks nice. And also that pillar with the circle dome thing on the top of it. You're saying that seems to be really popular in the city where you live. They're really popular here as well. A lot of the period buildings around here have those circles on the top of the columns as well. You actually, if you look through some of my models that I've got on my store, I use it quite a bit. It's an easy decoration to do. So did your photo set finish working? Did it finish in the end, Smurf, or is it still going? Smurf says, or a mafioso with a surplus sphere supply gave everyone an offer they couldn't refuse, and it's still going. Wow. How long has it been processing for now? Anyone is not familiar with what we're talking about, Smurfer's been doing some photogrammetry. He's processing a photo set of, I believe it was 1,012 photos, and it's approaching 72 hours. Wow. At least it hasn't crashed. That's the important thing. I always get worried when a program's processing in the background. I'm always worried it's crashed, and yeah, you know, because these things happen. Smurfberry says depth mapping will finish soon and maybe before midnight. Well, I hope it all processes correctly, because 72 hours, because generally when your machine is doing this work as well, you can't really do much else. Pardon me. You can't really do much else with the machine, which is a real nightmare. Smurf says then after that it's some sort of depth map filtering step, then dense cloud and meshing, and then decimation and texturing. Look at the hiccups. Wow. I hope the dense cloud doesn't take too long, because generally, pardon me, I have the hiccups. Generally, the dense cloud can take a while to calculate as well. So, anyway, like I said, the worst thing about that is just the fact you can't use your computer really while it's working, because it tends to bog down the machine. Anyway, I'll keep my fingers crossed it all processes correctly for you. So what are we doing? We are working on the bathroom for the House in the Hollow game. We were working in Max yesterday, and we had a bit of a problem with one of the assets, this asset that sits under the sink. So what I ended up doing, I did fix it. I believe I fixed it. We'll find out in a minute when I export this back into Substance Painter. If it looks a bit funky, it's because we're using vertex coloring so that we can, when we take it into Substance Painter, we can assign different shaders to different parts of the model. Smurfberry says, all done on my laptop. I don't really use it for much of anything else. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay then. Yeah. That's why I have a couple of machines here in the house as well, because if I'm doing a rendering, it can take hours. I can use other machines to do that work and keep working on my main machine. So that's good to hear. It's not going to affect you being able to use a PC. So yes, I did fix the problem, I believe. What I ended up doing was I took it into ZBrush and did a Z-remesh on it. I could have probably done a similar thing in Max here. Max has a modifier called Quantify Mesh. And I believe that should fix the problem. I actually just slightly redesigned it as well. I thought, why not while I'm here? So what we're going to do is we're going to select the model and we're going, oh actually, and I put a plug in as well. I don't know if you can see it up here in the top viewport, but I realized I forgot to model in a plug. Not much point having a sync without a plug. So let's export it so we can bring it into Substance Painter. And we're going to call it Small Vanity. We'll just overwrite the one that wasn't working yesterday. Everything's good. My mic is unmuted. You never know. Okay, let's jump into Substance Painter. I'm just going to do something on my second screen here for a minute. Move that over there. Move that back up. There we go. Getting myself organized. Alright. Let's jump into Substance Painter and create a new project. Create a new project. There we go. Let's select that Small Vanity we just exported. Set it to 2K, compute tangent space because we're going to be importing it into UE4. And go OK. Alrighty, let's bake out the maps at 2048. Using the low poly as the high poly. Hey Legmog, it's good to see you, buddy. Legmog says, what's Legmog say here? Wait, what's this? A bathroom cabinet? That's right, surely not. I must have slipped into an alternate universe where Phil has a house that only has a bathroom and a kitchen and nothing else. Well, you know, I thought I'd start on the new project here with the bathroom to stop you guys bitching. I know it's not going to stop you. So yes, this is a bathroom cabinet. We are working on a bathroom for the house in the hollow. You guys will not have to hold it in for too much longer. And again, just pointing out here, with the ID map, make sure it's set to vertex color. That all looks good. Let's bake out the material. I do like the new baker here in Substance Painter, the GPU accelerated baker. It's very cool. And you can see now we're not having that problem we were having before. The problem, I believe, was with the actual normals orientation on the mesh. So remeshing it just fixed that normals problem. So let's start texturing this baby up, shall we? So yes, we are going to apply we're going to use probably a chocolate wood and a different coloured wood. I haven't decided what colour the other wood will be yet, but the centre sections I want to be a chocolate wood. So let's pull in this walnut again and right click and mask with colour selection, pick colour, and we'll make it the blue. Alright, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to texture up the model, base textures, and then I'll go through and we'll start adding some detail. So now we need another colour for the other parts of the wood of the cabinet. What colour we're going to use? I'm actually, with this wood, I'm just going to make a small adjustment here. I want to just darken up the colour a little bit more. I want more chocolate. There we go, that's a bit better. I might just play with the scaling a little bit too, I think. So how are you, Legmog? What you been up to? You been dating any more women from overseas? And how are you feeling, actually? I know you weren't too well last time we spoke. Legmog says, so Phil, I have an Australian question. Okay, you come to the right guy. Is Canberra like a somewhat small city? I know it's the capital of everything. It's only I looked at it on Google Maps and it seems somewhat small. Like it doesn't just mainly house the government and that's it, or do I just suck at analysing the scale on Google Maps? No. Canberra is the it's not, well, I guess you could call it the capital city of Australia, but it's not really. It's really only the house. People live there, but it's really where government is, where the federal government of Australia resides, in Canberra. And Canberra is a small city. Melbourne and Sydney are the two biggest cities in Australia. So, like, for example, I think Melbourne has a population of about 6.5 million people. I think Sydney is about the same. Canberra, though, would be less than half of that. Probably even less than that. Maybe 1 to 2 million. So Canberra is a small city. It is the capital of government in this country, but the major capital cities in Australia are Sydney and Melbourne. So you are not you are correct. It is a small city. People live there. That's right. Smurfberry's asking, people actually live in Canberra. They do. I don't know why. Canberra's a bit of a hole because there's so many politicians there. What can you expect? You know, anywhere there's where politicians hang out as a whole. It's an interesting city because it's built on a grid system. So it's actually a bit occulty because it's built on like this ring system. That's when they designed the city. They designed it that way on purpose. People do live there. It gets incredibly hot in summer, incredibly cold in winter. It's inland in Australia, so it's not on the coast like Sydney and Melbourne or all the other capital cities. They're all on the coastline, but Canberra is inland. Canberra is sort of halfway between where I live in Melbourne and Sydney, which is the next capital city up if you're heading north. Canberra's sort of in the middle, but inland. It has things like our National Science Museum and things like that, but I wouldn't live there personally. I think it's a bit of a hole, personally. I shouldn't say that. Canberra people will hate me. Legmog says, I thought so. In the UK, at least, it's always a gotcha question. What's the capital of Australia? Answer typically goes Sydney. No. Melbourne. No. Canberra. Never heard of it. Yeah. They call it the capital city of Australia because that's where the federal government lives. So our parliament is in Canberra. So that's what but it's not like other countries where you think the capital city is the biggest city, because Canberra is not the biggest city. It's probably one of the smallest cities in Australia. It would go Melbourne, Sydney, Melbourne. I don't know which one's got a bigger population. Then it would go Brisbane. Then it would go Perth. Then it would go Adelaide. Then it would go either Canberra or Darwin. I'm not sure which of those two is smaller. Darwin is right up the top. Canberra is sort of right down the bottom. But yeah, unless you're a politician, no, I wouldn't live in Canberra. It's just too boring. There's nothing near it. It's in the middle of nowhere. Even the politicians, they don't stay there. They fly in and out every day. You know, they live in Sydney or they live in Melbourne or Brisbane. And they fly to Canberra each day for their work. And then fly out again. So not even the politicians want to live there. And generally the people, the general population that do live in Canberra are people that work in the public service anyway, so they work for government. So that's why they live there. Yeah. So there you go. A little bit of a history of Australian cities. Legmog says, yeah, seems like the whole city has just kind of been built up on the fact where the government HQ is. That's exactly right. The only reason it exists is because that's where they decided a couple of hundred years ago to put the government for some reason. I don't know why, really. I guess I maybe should, being Australian, know why they put the government there, but they did. Smurf says, that sounds unpleasant. It is unpleasant. It's, like I said, it's inland, so it gets incredibly hot in summer. It gets really cold in winter. There's nothing to do there. It's a relatively small city. Yeah, it's boring. Smurfberry says, like Harrisburg being the capital of Pennsylvania. I wouldn't know, but I'll take your word for it, Smurfberry. Morak, it's good to see you, Morak. Hello to you too. I hope you're well. We've just been talking about Australian cities. So yes, there you go. Canberra, Morak says, yeah, waiting for more work. Are you talking to me? You talking to me? Or are you talking about yourself? Or are you waiting for me to do some work? Okay, I'm trying to choose a colour for the second wood grain here. We could go with the cherry, and then we can go from there. Let's throw the cherry down. I might change the colour a bit. Again, we want to right click and add mask with colour selection, and we're going to choose the red. Smurfberry says the population is only 50,000 in a state of 12 million. Wow. That is small. Wow, it's really small. You have a big population in the US. Your population compared to ours is huge. Like, isn't the population in the US something like 250 or 300 million people? Australia's population is only about 26 and a half or 27 million, I think. That's for the whole country. Just going to pull back here on the if I can find it. It's being hidden down here. I'm going to pull back on the height a bit. The height's a bit too high. Morek says, okay, a bit more words then. Legmog says, and yes, I do have another date lined up. Why doesn't that surprise me? This time from a girl in the UK, only a few miles away from me. Well, there you go. That's the way to do it. That is certainly the way to do it. Keep it local. Less problems keeping it local. Now, I'm just going to have to make a couple of small adjustments to the UV map here. Because I want the wood grain to flow in the same direction on all of the pieces. So the two front pieces here and the bottom rung are facing in the wrong direction. I'm going to have to just make some adjustments to the UV map there. Smurfberry says, it's in the middle of nowhere. Sounds like Canberra as well. Morag says, yeah, I'm fine, waiting for more work so I can get out of this insane money situation. Oh no, it's terrible, isn't it? Look, I can relate. I've had a few unexpected expenses recently that's been emptying my bank account, so yeah, I can relate, Morag. Legmog says, wow, on Wiki for Canberra, the population of the south, 400,000. Well, there you go. I knew it was small. I didn't realise it was quite that small. So 400,000 in Canberra, whereas Sydney and Melbourne have got about 6 million, I believe. Smurfberry says it's like 335 million or something these days. Wow. 335 million people in the US. It's huge. 327 million. That's still huge. You were close. But Australia's only got a population of about 26 million, maybe 26 and a half, I think. We do have a lot of immigration every year, though, so it's constantly going up. I believe that this country we take in about 100,000 immigrants every year, I think. About that, maybe more, 120,000. So our population's slowly rising. So yes, we're going to have to make some adjustments to the UV maps on those two pieces and the pieces that run along the bottom. The other pieces I think are okay. Morek says, I don't know, in Bulgaria it's really common to be at the edge of starvation. Oh no! Morek, that's terrible. That is terrible. Wow. You know, there's a lot of problems going on in the world at the moment, in a lot of different countries. Not a good time at the moment, unfortunately. But at least you know, if you're doing 3D stuff, you can take commissions from people all over the world. So that's something, right? Smurfberry says that's not a bad thing. I think don't want to end up like Japan with a declining population. Well, that's true, and it is a real problem for Japan because they have such an aging population, and they're a little bit xenophobic. They don't their immigration. They're very strict with their immigration. So I don't know why that is. Seems to be the way. You always need new people in your country, otherwise everyone gets old and no one pays tax and everything falls apart. Legmog says, yes, you're close to the Philippines. Yes, we are. One Filipino girl invited me to her birthday. Good Lord, her friends were gorgeous. More Filipino Filipino immigration to the UK, please. They are. A lot of Asian women are gorgeous. They're beautiful, petite, women. A lot of the Asian women. So that is true. But we get immigration from all over the world, not just Asia, but all over the world. A lot of UK people actually come to Australia for some reason. I don't know why. Tell me why that is, Legmog. We get a lot of British people that tend to come to Australia. We get a lot of Irish people. So yeah, we get people from everywhere. So let's jump back into Max real quick. And I'm going to throw down an unwrap UVW. I'm just going to turn off Vertex channel display here so I can get a better look at the model. I'm just doing this so I know which pieces I need to re-UV map. Let's open up the editor. Make sure we're in full object mode. We need that one, we need that one, we need that one. Why do I feel like I'm missing one? Yes, I'm missing this piece over here, which I don't know. Let me select a few more pieces to try and find it, which will be this one here. Okay. Everything else I think was mapped in the correct orientation. So I'm just going to Legmog says, it was one of those weird situations. I was mostly sober in a nightclub near closing time. The amount of drunk blokes suddenly hitting on these girls in the worst way possible was unreal. Well, yeah, you got to get out of those clubs and bars before they turn the lights on. That's the secret. You know how bars and clubs are generally quite dark. But at the end of the night, when they want everyone to leave, they put the lights on. You got to make sure you get out before then. But yes, it's amazing how desperate people get at the end of a night, particularly drunk men. Morag says, smoke declining population is not bad given the circumstances our planet is in. In the coming years, there's going to be many problems with food, more than there have ever been. And if we don't do something to coexist with nature, nature will find a way to coexist with us by wiping whole cities apart, or at least try to. Look, you are not wrong, Morag. I'm constantly harping on about climate change and global warming, and that's all part of this problem that people, we're not going to be able to feed ourselves because the climate's changing. We're not going to be able to grow food. It's going to cause social unrest. That means more wars. That means more people dying. So we just have to manage things better. That's what it boils down to. We've got to manage our planet and our climate a lot better. Legmog says, and for the first time ever, I C-blocked a guy who decided, you will work out what the rest of that word is. It's C blank blank blank. C-blocked a guy who decided to get right up in my female friend's space and thrust his face towards hers. Her recoiling back was not enough of a hint for him. You know what guys are like when they're drunk, Legmog, I'm sure. Yeah. Just some men in general are just horrible. Even though I'm part of that species, that male species, some men are just horrible. Legmog says, so I just kind of swooped in, took my friend's hand and just kind of pulled her away. I'm sure she appreciated that too. You're such a gentleman, Legmog. But because women can be frightened by men that behave like that, with good reason, because, some men can be terrible. Like I said, some men can be violent, some men don't take rejection well, so I can understand why a woman would be frightened in some situations like that. Smurf says, good job, Legmog. Yes. And Morag says, I sure hope there is time left for that TT. What's the TT, Morag? I'm not sure what the TT is. I'm just going to move these off to the side here. TT is a crying face. Oh, okay. There you go. I told you I'm not hip. I'm not up with all the latest lingo you guys are. You guys do. So I'm just going to rotate these 90 degrees. Oh, okay. I see the crying face emoji. Legmog says, I remember when I was younger, I thought, man, it must be so easy being a girl. You can just so easily find romance. I now see that rather frustrating side of this and being constantly hit on by all angles at all times. Yes. It's not just being hit on that's the problem, it's safety. Like women I don't know if you guys heard the news story a few months ago here in Melbourne where I live, but there was an Israeli girl who was murdered. She was an exchange person, I believe. Like she was living here, but she wasn't a permanent resident. But she just got on the bus one day, went out to go back home, and this young homeless man murdered her. So yeah, women are, and there have been a series of other murders of women in my city as well, which is terrible. So yeah, women not only being hit on, but are fearful for their lives sometimes as well, because men can just be horrible. Legmog says, oh man, that's so sad. It was really sad. I mean, yeah, her family came over from Israel, her father, I believe, to collect her body to take it back to Israel so they could bury her. And she was doing nothing wrong. She was just on her way home. And this guy decided that he was going to murder her. And there was another girl who was murdered in one of the parks in the inner city here in Melbourne. She was a comedian. She was coming home from a comedy club late at night. She crossed through the park to as a shortcut to get home, and a man murdered her in the park, raped and murdered her. So even more horrible. So yeah, women can be fearful for their lives with good reason, because men can just be horrors, absolute horrors. Now I bet you did. You rotated my. So let me not use the automated tool here to do a repack. Let me try and see if we can do it another way. Normalize, rescale is fine. We can even fill holes, but we don't want to rotate the clusters. I think that's right. I don't think it rotated them on me. No. Let me just double check this one. No. And this one. No. We're good. We're good. All right. Yes. Men in general can be just terrible. It's just, yeah. Well, nothing more needs to be said. Men can just be jerks and worse. Let's export this object again as the small vanity. Now, I do have another vanity unit that's like this, the same design, but it's a corner vanity as well, which I want to texture up. But the good thing is what we can do is we can create smart materials in Substance Painter, so it'll make texturing up the second piece relatively quick. Back into Substance Painter, back into project configuration, and let's reload that mesh. But that does mean we need to regenerate our maps. And now all of our wood grain is facing in the correct direction. Good. Let's see if I want to make any adjustments to this Cherrywood. Like I want to change the colour. What else do I want to do? Yep. Pull back a bit on the height, I think. Let's look at the scaling. I'm going to go back to the chocolate wood and look at the scaling on that one as well. Back to the Cherrywood. Morik says, sadly there are monsters on both sides. In the end, the body is just a shell for the brain, and it's pretty easy to break. So people start being aggressive and behaving badly. It's a complicated mess and it's a long topic, that's very true. But women should not fear walking on their own, and unfortunately they do. Meat Robot Smurfberry says, oh. Meat robots, what a terrible thing to say. I'm just looking at the specularity here to see if I want to make any changes to it. You're not wrong, I'm not saying you're wrong, but yeah. Well, we are, look, like I said, I'm not saying you're wrong, Smurf. Just deciding how shiny I want my wood to be. Might pull up the spec just a little bit on the chocolate wood. Morag says yes, they should be a bit more protected, but that it's just sad not being able to be free and get a nice stroll through a park on the way back from work. Yeah, that's right. She was doing nothing wrong except trying to get home quickly, so she cut through the park. I mean, you know, it's nice to walk through a public park. You don't expect to be murdered and raped when you're walking through a public park. Fortunately, though, she just came across, well, the wrong person was hanging out in that park at that time. But I just use that as one example. I mean, there are many examples where women don't feel safe walking on their own. Like, that's why generally women will go out in groups, because, you know, there's safety in numbers. And that's sad. It's sad that women feel that way. I mean, we don't think about it as men so much because, you know, we're men. We're generally okay. But having said that, though, there are still cases where men can be attacked by groups of other guys. So, Legmog says, I'm just deciding on how shiny I want my wood to be. I'm not saying anything. You don't, you saying. Get your mind out of the gutter, dude. I like shiny wood. Get that mind out of the gutter. Again, I'm just trying to get the scale happening to on this chocolate wood that I like. Smurf says, varnish the hell out of it. That's right. Varnish the hell out of it. I agree. I guess we don't want to pull it up too much. But we do want it to be a bit shiny. For a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is, as you guys know, the game that I'm making with the game studio is going to implement RTX ray tracing. And the shinier the object, the better the effect for ray tracing is. So there is a method to my madness, don't worry. So yeah, that's sort of some of the considerations that I have to take into account as I start creating these assets for the game. Because it's going to use ray tracing, we want to best highlight the ray tracing. We're going to push up values that that take advantage of ray tracing. So reflections is one of those things. Morag says, anyway, enough on that diagram. On that topic, what are you making? I am making a bathroom cabinet. So we're going to start creating a bathroom for the game, the House on the Hollow game, that's going to be released in October next year. So I'm creating a bathroom so these guys can stop bitching that the house doesn't have a bathroom or a kitchen. So I'm going to start with the bathroom. And this is just a vanity cabinet that's going to go in that bathroom. Okay, so yes, I'm just going to look at a couple of things here. I'm just pulling up a little bit on the wood grain that's actually in the chocolate wood. To see if I can't find something I like the look of better. I think that might be a little better. I'm just looking for an interesting pattern in the wood more than anything. And I might even darken it up just a little bit more as well. I also want to darken up that cherry colour a bit too. Crosswind, it's good to see you, Crosswind. How are you? What's up with you? What you been doing? You've been doing some 3D stuff, or some artwork at least, I hope. It's good to see you, Crosswind. So I think that's better. Just a little bit darker. I still haven't really decided on the design I'm going for in this bathroom, like the final design. I've designed the actual pieces I want to go in, but as far as the color scheme and stuff goes, I haven't really worked that out yet. So I guess if worst comes to worst, we can just reload Substance Painter and change some textures around if it doesn't fit properly. Morag says, an interesting question, by the way. Do you think you can make the same texture in Painter as you make procedurally in Designer? I mean, it won't be an optimal workflow. Hang on, so what's the question again? You are asking me, do you think you can make the same texture in Painter as you make procedurally in Designer? I don't actually use Designer. I've played with Substance Designer, but not a lot. Substance Designer is to make your own shaders, whereas Painter is just to use those shaders. So I don't know if actually I could, because I'm not familiar enough with Substance Designer. But I'm sure someone better in Designer could than me. Designer is a great program. It can get complicated to use. Crosswind says, yep, working on a chainsaw in Fusion, trying to figure out good workflow. Cool. I love it when you guys are doing 3D. More 3D, I say, more. So that's good to hear. Okay, let's throw down another texture here for the top of the bench, and for that I want a marble. Now again, I'm throwing down the base colors, then we're going to go through and we're going to do some detailing. So let's go with a marble for the top of the cabinet here. What marble do I want? Let's have a look at this black marble, because I've used this in other parts of the building. So again, we want to keep some consistency. Again, we're going to mask with color selection, and we're going to choose the green. Let's just work with our scale a little bit. Something like that. Okay. Let's work on the brass for these metal pieces now. Smurfberry says anything you can paint by hand can be painted by hand. I'm not sure what to make of that sentence, Smurfberry. Anything you can paint by hand can be painted by hand. Bit of a tautology. I'm not even sure what that word means. Well, what's tautology? Bill being dumb. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure anything you could do in Painter, you could reproduce in Designer with a bit of work. But it's going to take a bit of work because Designer is a little bit more difficult to use. Morek says, I'm asking because I noticed that Painter has all the filters and generators Designer has, or at least most of them. It's just not node-based, but you have anchors. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure you'll find that, yeah, a lot of the, as you say, a lot of the filters and generators are going to be the same between the programs because they're made by the same company. Painter is not node-based, though. The node workflow is really good for the Designer, so you can make your substances. I don't know if it's really needed in Painter though. Crosswind says, how long do you usually spend on textures in Painter? I was messing with it a few weeks ago, but I never really know what to do. It depends on the thing I'm texturing up. So generally, yeah, it really depends on what I'm texturing and how detailed I want to get in my texturing. How long's a piece of string? Yeah, it'll depend. Anywhere from a couple of hours to 5 or 6 hours, maybe. Just depending, like I said, on how detailed I want to get with the texturing. But if you've got any questions, Crosswind, about Painter, throw them my way or throw them into chat, and I'm sure we'll try and help, or jump on the Discord and ask a question there too. Because if I don't know, somebody on the Discord, one of the members of the Discord server will, the Phil Does 3D Discord. Smurfberry says it's not really comparable. Yeah, they're different programs. Substance Designer is meant to make these substances, whereas Substance Painter is you're meant to just use these substances to texture up your model. So Design is not a program you use to texture your model, more just to make these substances so you can then texture your model. Yeah. Having said that, you can make the substances in Designer and then use that to texture your model if you're not doing any painting by hand or anything. Like in UE4, you can load up the SBZAR file and assign it to the model that way. Wax Kink, it's good to see you, Wax Kink. Well, hey there, Phil, and how are you? I'm really well, Wax Kink. I hope you're well too. What have you been up to? You've been doing some 3D work, or at least some artwork, I hope? You don't have to, but I always like to hear it when you do. So I'm looking for a brass now so that we can do the metal work here on the model. And then we're going to go through and do some detail work. So we have this yellow bronze, which would look cool. We have this pure brass, which would also look cool. Which way do I want to go? We have brass, we have pure brass, and we have bronze yellow. I guess the easiest way is to throw them down and go from there. So again, we're going to right click in a mask with color selection, pick the color, and it's going to be the yellow. So now everything that was yellow is now this brass color. Let's need to make some adjustments to the brass. I'll just up the scale a little bit. It's less noticeable on these metallic textures, the scaling value, but it's still important to sort of get it right. I like the brass. And this more shiny brass here, again, because we're going to be using RTX in the final game, if people want to turn it on, is going to do nicer reflections for ray tracing. So, Wax Kink says, I've been practicing more complex shape. I tried a pumpkin today and posted it in Discord, but I will be doing a few more attempts to get it right. Did you? You posted in... Oh, did I see some... Oh, very nice. Wax Kink has posted the pumpkin in the Discord server in the gallery. I'll show that soon, Wax Kink. At the end of the stream, I'll show that image because I love it. Pumpkin looks really cool. You've done a really nice job too, actually, of the detail work you've got modelled into the pumpkin there. It looks really cool. Again, I'll show it at the end of the stream, just before I sign off for the day. Nice work. Good to see you doing 3D too. Okay, so what have we got left here? We've got the tap fixtures and fittings, and we've got the drain. So, and I want a silver colour for that. So we've got an aluminium. We've got a pure aluminium. Just going to quickly look through here. We've got a brushed steel. No, I don't want a brushed steel. We have this. They're calling it expanded metal gold. I don't know why, because it looks silver to me, not gold. Oh, we've got chrome. Chrome might be good. Yeah, let's throw the chrome down and have a look at that. Again, we're going to mask by material color. I'm just going to make this a little bit more grayscale. It's got a bit of yellow in it. I don't want the yellow to be lost with the gold, so I'm going to pull it out of the yellow and more into the grayscale color. Wax Kink says I couldn't get rid of all the tries sadly on this pass, but I'll get it all quads and better topology before Halloween. Yes, Halloween's soon, isn't it? I know Halloween's big for you guys in the United States. It's becoming bigger in this country as well. But not as big as it is in the US where you guys live. Actually, the game here that we're making, The House on the Hollow, it's scheduled for release around Halloween next year. So it's sort of going to be marketed around the Halloween period because it's a mystery horror sort of game. Let's just play with the scaling here a little bit. Check out our plug. And the silver is also on the handles here behind the gold on the front. I decided to leave the handles hexagonal like that. Like you could smooth that out so it was a smooth handle. But I thought it looked more interesting having this bit of a pattern on it, not smoothing it out to a complete sphere. Just adds a bit more interest to the handle itself. And these handles are like a half shell type handle. It's very deco. They love shells in the deco period for some reason. Okay, so it looks like all we've got left now is the sink itself. So let's have a look for a texture for the sink. Morag says, oh god, it's 3:50 AM already. I literally looked left at my second monitor, then looked back at my main screen, and an entire hour has passed. There you go. It means you're enjoying it. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Like, I find that when I start working, I can start work at, whatever, let's say 9 in the morning. And before I know it, it's like 2 or 3 in the afternoon and I've missed lunch. But it felt like a half an hour. Do you know what I mean? 5 hours have passed and it's felt like a half an hour. I just get so caught up in what I'm doing. I guess that's a good thing though. Not good for your health though. Wax King says, sink is looking nice, by the way. Thank you, Wax King. We're going to have to do a lot more work on it yet. We're just throwing down the base colours at the moment. And then we'll go through and we'll start doing some detail. Smurpery says, they did indeed. Yes, they did. They loved their shells. Edo, it's good to see you, Edo. My phone is going off for some reason. Leave me alone. It's good to see you, Edo. I hope you're well. Edo's also posted a concept image in the gallery, which I will show at the end of the stream when I show Wax Kink's pumpkin. Okay, so we need a texture for the sink itself. What do I want to use? I know I'm going to see it. I just haven't seen it. We don't want to get too carried away with the sink. The sink, I'm not adding a detailed texture. A detailed texture like the other parts of the model. It's got to be kept pretty plain because it's a sink, Which one do I want? I might go with just double checking there's nothing up here that might be more suitable. I might go with this ceramic porcelain, I think. Again, let's mask it by colour. So just a porcelain. I'm just going to change the scaling on this a little bit as well. I won't change the colour. It's got a little bit of a yellow orange hue to it, which is fine. We could make it completely white, but we won't. But what we do want to do is just do a quick save before we start doing any more work to be on the safe side. And let's save it to our folder, which is UE4 projects, models, bathroom, vanity units. Small vanity, I believe. Actually, let's save it under exports and call it small vanity. Let's rename this material from material 107 to small vanity. Let's do another save after doing that. Okay, now let's start adding a little bit more detail to these textures. Wax King says, but Material 107 is such a great name. It is. Material 107, Material 1142, Material A3098. Yeah, I have a bad habit of forgetting to rename my materials, which makes working on stuff at a later date a nightmare. If you leave your material called Material 107, you go and do something else for 4 weeks and you come back to the project, you don't know what the hell it is. So calling it Small Vanity makes much more sense. I just get so caught up in work that I miss these little steps where you've got to name things correctly, because it is really important. Edo says, I name my files like bling blong. that's just as bad. Or SSSS. No, that's terrible. We all have to get into the habit of naming things correctly. It will make our life much easier in the long run, trust me. Edo says, usually I just spam a key and that's it. That's right. Just hit the keyboard with your fingers, don't you? And that's the name. So it's WTS. Yeah, I usually do that. Spam it. That's right. Spam the keyboard. Okay, let us jump down to the walnut, which is the darker wood. I am going to duplicate that layout. And I'm going to change the color. And I'm going to change it to maybe a lighter color. Maybe not quite that light. And now I'm going to throw down, actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select both of these layers, and I'm going to group the layers. Why did you not group? There we go. Now they're grouped. I'm going to remove this layer at the bottom too, because it's just a blank empty layer. Let's rename this. I'm going to call this Chalkwood. Wax King says, the only thing I hate is missing one small part and getting into Substance and seeing Lambert 1 on there. You can change it all in Substance, so generally, if you do miss something, you can always rename it in Substance. Okay, so we've grouped the layers, which has created a folder. Now what I want to do is go to our Smart Masks. Now I could do this by hand, and I normally would do this by hand. So I get my Wacom tablet pen, and I go in there and make these. I'd paint in by hand what I'm trying to do here. I want to avoid doing that because I want to make smart materials out of these textures, out of these shaders, so that I can apply it to the second piece of vanity, the larger vanity piece. And if I don't, if I do it by hand and then try and apply the smart material to a new object, it's not going to match up properly. So I'm going to try and avoid doing it by hand. Morak says, okay, I posted my work in progress in Discord. Oh, you did too. It looks very nice. So again, guys, I'm going to wait till the end of the stream, just before I close off, and I'll show all your work. So I want to show stuff from Edo, stuff from Wax King, and stuff from Morak. But it is looking cool. Very slowly making progress. I should work my ass off tomorrow, Morak says. It's looking really nice. Yeah, really nice. We'll check it out soon. Okay, so we want a smart mask, not a smart material. And I want to go with, what do I want to go with? Let's look at the dust salt. Now what I need to do here, I'll There's a couple of ways we could tackle this actually, but I really only want that smart mask to be consigned to the dark chalkwood texture. At the moment, if I'll make some adjustments to the mask so you can get a better idea of what I mean, so we can see it a little bit better. You'll actually, it seems to be behaving itself, but normally what it will do is it will apply that to the, it's applying it to every texture, not just the chocolate wood. So if I sort of zoom in here a bit, you can see what I'm using this for. I'm using it to give the chocolate wood a two-tone color. Do you remember when I say to you guys, to make things look more realistic, don't make things like a flat color, give it a bit of variation. That's what I'm doing here with this smart mask and this duplicated material where one is slightly darker than the other. Just to give, and if I push it right up, you can see it better, but I don't want it like that. I want it more subtle. So yeah, I'm just using it just to bring in a little bit of the lighter color wood, just to give the wood a bit more interest. Probably see it better up here on this top piece. So we've got the darker chocolate wood, and then we've got a slightly lighter colored chocolate wood mixed in with it. But what that is actually doing, that mask is applying to every texture. And the way to fix that is to select the folder, the group, and we want to add mask with color selection again and pick the color, and now it's just confined to that chocolate wood. Okay. Nightbot spamming my links as usual. Smokeberry says, good choice of materials, by the way, Phil. Thank you. Wax King says, that's good to know. Yeah. So particularly in Substance Painter here, all you do, you assign your substance color, whatever it is, wood, whatever. Duplicate the material, make one version either slightly lighter or slightly darker, and then use one of these smart masks to give you a two-tone color, because it just makes it more realistic instead of having one flat color. I do it a lot on a lot of models when I texture them up. We're going to do the same thing for the Cherrywood now. So into the Cherrywood, I'm going to start by duplicating the layer. The duplicated layer, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to make it a little bit, it's either lighter or darker, I'm not sure which yet. We'll make it a bit lighter, and I've gone a bit lighter than I normally would, so it's more noticeable for you guys as well. We're going to select both of those layers, and we're going to group the layers. I'm going to call this one Cherrywood. Again, we're going to use the same Dust Soft Smart Mask. I'm going to throw that on the topmost layer. Again, I'm going to go and just make some adjustments to the balance. Now you see how it's affecting everything, not just the Cherrywood. That's what I was talking about before. That's why we have to, I'll pull it up so it's really noticeable, and then I'll make some adjustments. That's why we have to select the group, mask with color, and pick that red so it just affects the Cherrywood and not the rest of that texture. So back to the mask. I'm just going to make some adjustments here. Turn global invert on and off to see which one looks better. I think this one looks a bit more interesting. Okay. I'm even going to do the same, I think, to the marble. So I'm just going to close these groups up so that they're not getting in the way. We have our marble. Let's duplicate that. I'm just not sure of what corrections I can make to the marble. Might not be able to make enough changes to make it useful. So we may have to tackle it a little bit differently. Morex says, whispers make a small yellowish ring around the drain in the sink. Whispers make a small yellowish ring around the drain in the sink. We'll tackle all of that in a minute. Smurfberry says, do you find that sometimes Painter always has a group open when you open your file, even if you close that group before saving? Yes, I found Painter does a lot of really weird things between when you close your project and reopen it. One of the biggest bugbears for me is this. You know how you can change the size of these materials and things? I always make it large. Every time I open Painter up, it defaults back to, I think, medium. It's really annoying. So yes, Smurfberry, I have noticed the same thing. And it's incredibly annoying. No, you're not insane. You're not insane at all. It happens to me too. It really, like I said, really annoys me. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm just playing with the hue shift a little bit on the marble. I'm just going to bring in, what colour do I want to bring in? I'm going to bring in a little bit of blue. I'm just going to pull back on the saturation just a touch. So if I turn it off, we go from a grey yellow to a blue grey. I'm going to do the same thing again though. I'm going to select both of them and group them. I'm going to call it marble top. And let's find an interesting smart mask we can use. Let's look at this dirt splashes, I think. Now again, you can see that's applying to the entire model. We don't want that. The dirt splashes actually is an interesting texture, so I might use that again in a minute, but for the moment we don't want to do that. So we want to mask with color selection and just assign it to the table, to the marble itself. So we have two grunge maps by the look of it here for this if I pull it up and down, you can see what it's doing, mainly noticeable here. Where am I? So yeah, that's without it on, that's with it on. It's bringing in a little bit more blue, just in spots though. So with the second grunge map. Okay. Now let's look at the porcelain, I think. So I'm just going to close that group. I'm going to leave the brass for the moment. We'll jump up to the porcelain. So again, I'm going to duplicate the layer. Change the color on the upper layer. And with this one, we're going to go a little bit darker. Let's group them. Just going to call this one Sync. Let's find a smart mask that will look cool. Let's try this Edges mask. Make sure we mask it with color selection again. You see what that's doing around the drain here? If I pull it back and pull it in, we're just getting that, like it's like dirtying it up. You know, dirt has accumulated around the drain. It's also adding it just around the top of the sink here. I might just change the color a little bit, just might darken it up just a little bit. Let's just do a quick save as well. Morag says, add the evil parts of me whispers as well, a few drops of blood. That would be cool actually. I actually do have to start thinking about doing more of that sort of thing. Because I'm so used to working in ArchViz and texturing up models that are nice and that are meant to go in, you know, either a period building, a normal building, or an apartment, a modern apartment, that are generally not covered in blood. I have to remember to actually start adding a bit more blood to everything as well. Because it's a game. It's meant to be a bit of blood everywhere. Morag says, perfectly clean in a world, no existence of dust. Yeah, but that's true. There is nothing in the real world that's perfectly clean. Let's jump back to the woods now and start adding a bit more detail. So the chocolate wood, let's open up that group. Now I'm going to add another smart mask. Edo says dust to dust. Smurfberry says maybe a clean room. And Morag says Warhammer fan art hype. Chat support me here. Okay, so what I want to do here is jump back into our materials. Just wait for it to load up. Yeah, so I always switch this to large, and every time I reopen the program, it's defaulted back to medium. It's very annoying. Make sure I'm in the right area. Yes, that's what we want there. So I'm going to throw this beechwood honey above the chocolate wood. We're going to pull back on the height range. I'm going to change the color. I'm just going to make it a bit darker. Now we're going to add another smart mask. That's the one I want. And for this one, which one do I want? Let's try the maybe not. Let's try the edges dusty one. Just let me turn off the hide information. We don't want hide information here. Go back to the mask. going to pull back here so I can get a better overview of what I'm doing while I'm working. Android Lust, it's good to see you, buddy. Sorry, I just noticed you there. I hope you're well. Android Lust says, hey everyone, forgot today was Tuesday. Android Lust says, did you figure out the... Yes, I did, Android Lust, and you were spot on. I used your advice. You said to take it into ZBrush, which is what I did. I took the piece into ZBrush and I Z-remeshed it. So it was actually a problem with the normals, the actual normals of the polygons themselves. And remeshing it fixed that. So, yes, you were correct. And that was a good suggestion. I took it into ZBrush. And I redesigned it a little bit as well. You can see here, I added just a bit more detailing to it. I thought it could do with being a little bit more interesting. And that fixed our problem. It was a weird problem, and it was the normals, I'm sure. The actual, you guys know that every polygon has a normal that faces in a direction, you know, up, down, or even sideways. And it was a problem with the normals, I believe. So remeshing it allowed us to fix that problem. But you're right, it was a weird problem. But it's all good now. And it also gave me an opportunity to put a drain in, because I forgot to put a drain in the sink. So I did that last night before, so it allowed me to remember to do that. So it was a good thing in the end. Now I'm going to jump back to that colour. I'm just going to darken this up a little bit. It's a bit too bright. Again, I'm just going... I'm using this just to add a bit more interest in the wood grain. It's subtle, but it's there. You can sort of see it here and there. Just adding a bit more interest again for the wood. So the wood doesn't look quite so perfect. Android Lust says, weird problem. Says, yeah, it didn't have a drain. No one noticed. I know. I didn't notice either. Even when I modelled it up, I thought, I didn't notice that it didn't have a drain. And it wasn't until I was working on this piece, fixing it up, that I noticed the sink, and it didn't have a drain at all. So that would have been strange, to have a sink with no drain. And it would have looked weird in the game. Morek says, talking about normals, I'm really frustrated that I have to be careful how I place my UV islands, because otherwise my normals get rotated and Blender itself can't fix that for me. Yeah, normals can be a pain, a major pain. There's no easy way to say it, but they can be a major pain. Well, yeah. Thankfully, Max has a few tools to check all that sort of stuff, if you're a Max user. It even has a specific modifier where you can edit the normals. But yeah, I agree, it can be a major pain. And that's the problem we were running into yesterday with this piece that sits under the sink. It was all messed up. Okay, let's throw another smart mask down here, and let's go with... this concrete edges one. Morek says, by rotated normals, I mean when I use a normal map. Okay. I'm really good with Max, but I want to learn Blender since a lot of studios here are jumping ship. Oh, you're talking about normal maps. I'm actually not talking about normal maps. I'm talking about the normals of the actual polygon, which is what normal maps are based on. But a normal map is something you render out as a texture. Yeah. But it's good to learn Blender because, like you said, a lot of studios are using Blender now, so for sure that's a good thing to do. Just going to pull this up really high until I make some adjustments to it. Adjust the balance a little bit more, might be a little bit strong. Ito says, man, I'm kind of sleepy. Oh no. They don't have the sleep emote, Ito says, and Smurf says to Ito, more like Ito Sleepo. Oh dear. Not really, this mask is not really the mask doing... I'm not going to delete the mask, I'm just going to turn it off so I can see if I can find a mask here that's a better match for what I want. Let's try this one. I know what I want it to do, I'm just trying to get it to do it. Because this has been in a bathroom, so it's going to the wood is going to have been affected by, you know, all the steam and stuff that happens in bathrooms, all the moisture, the water. So we want to knock the wood up just a little bit, so it's not. So yeah, so it looks like it's been, you know, sitting in a moist environment for a while. I'm going to remove this mask here. I don't want that one there anymore. And I'm going to I think I might darken up the chocolate wood a bit more as well. So that one and this one. Okay, let's jump back up to the Cherrywood. Android Lust says soggy wood. That's right, soggy wood. It's wood that's been in a bathroom that's been steaming. So it's soggy. Cherrywood, let's open that one up. And let's throw down another mask on that. What mask will we have here? We'll go with... What will we go with? Let's go with Edges Strong Scratch. Again, it's the Cherrywood is what we're looking at now, not the chocolate but the cherry. Again, I'm going to go back to my materials and I'm going to throw that beach colour wood again underneath. Just got to wait for it to finish loading up here so I can see which one is which. Come on. You know, it caches them, but then when you scroll outside of this window, it loses all of the caching. It's really annoying. Okay, so we're going to throw this above the Cherrywood. Again, I'm going to turn off the hide information, just adjust my scaling a little bit. And back to my smart masks. Might remove that curvature, but I'll leave it there for the moment. We're going to go back with the Edges Strong Scratched. I'm just going to turn that curvature off from the underlying. Actually, I'll leave it on. It's adding a nice variation in the colour. Let's play with our balance here a bit. So all I'm doing with this smart mask is just looking to introduce a little bit of damage to the edges here. Might just pull up on the blur just a little bit. You know, I like the look of the lighter coloured wood with the dark wood as well. That's an interesting combination, but I think we'll keep it this way. I don't think we need to make any more changes there. We've got to remember too, a mirror is going to be going over most of this wood here anyway. Let's have a look at our sync here again. So let's close up the Cherrywood group, go back to the sync group. Again, just do a quick save. And look at our materials. Again, I'm not sure, but I'll know it when I see it, what I want to add. And I didn't see it. Alright. Come on, I know you're here somewhere. That's a problem when you get so many substances, they sort of blur into one another and it's hard to find exactly what you're looking for. Andrew Dust says, I'm going to post something on Discord that I've been working on. It's not quite finished. Do it. I've got a lot of stuff I've got to show from different people in the Discord, so post it in the Discord. Android Lust, we'd love to see it. I see Morak says he can't wait to start making the shuttle around the satellite thing that he's designing. That'll be cool, making the space shuttle. Come on, where is what I'm looking for? I cannot find it. Right, look, I'm going to throw down this mud texture and see if we can use it or not. I'm just going to off the scale a bit. Turn off the height information and the normal map. We're going to change the color so it's darker. Back to the smart masks. Let's look at this surface warm. Change our balance a little bit. Cool. I see what you've just posted on the Discord. It looks really cool, Android Lust. Really interesting model as well. Yeah, really interesting model. I'll show that soon. In the next 15 minutes, I'll show off the work you guys are doing. You use someone's concept. Nice concept. Really interesting model. And again, I love it when you guys make really interesting things. It's going to make your portfolio stand out a lot more if you're modeling up something really interesting and you're not doing a car and a gun all the time. So I always like seeing it when you guys are making something that's really interesting looking. Now, I'm not saying don't do cars and guns. If that's what you want to do, you do them. All I'm saying is a more interesting looking model will make your portfolio stand out more. I'm just using this to try and add a bit more dirt because the sink was looking a bit too clean. And you know I hate clean. Clean is not real. The lighting is kicking my butt, Andrew Lust says. I was going to do a car and a gun next. You guys. I'm just going to introduce the smallest amount of blur here, 0.05. Maybe just a little bit more blur, 0.10. That's better. It's a dirty sink. I wouldn't want to wash my hands here because, I mean, looks like this person hasn't cleaned their sink in months, but what we can do here is I might just pull back a little bit on the blend. So it's not quite so noticeable, just subtle. A subtle filthy sink. Edo says, make a car gun. That's right. Okay, let's look at the metalwork now. So I'm going to jump to. Let's start with the brass. I need to add another material. And under the brass, I want to put let's go with. We either go with the metal grinder, or we could go with the old iron. Let's go with the old iron. I want to put that above the brass layer. Let's play with our scaling a little bit. I'm going to turn off the height information on the normal, not the rough, the normal. Okay, now we can group these two layers together. I'm going to call this one brass work. Back to a smart mask. Edo says the Mach 5. Android Lust says reminds me of Twisted Metal and Vigilante 8. And for this one, let's go with let's go with go with dust occlusion. Again though, I must make sure that I mask out with color selection. I don't want it completely destroyed like that. I want to keep some of the brass. I just want to dirty it up. We'll turn triplanar on. Just pull in a little bit of grunt. Just so they don't look quite so new. Just want to jump back to the chocolate wood again, so I'm just going to close that group. And I'm just going to darken it up a little bit. Just trying to find the right layer here. It's this layer here. To make it just a little bit darker. I wanted a bit more contrast happening. I'm going to jump back to the Cherrywood as well. And I'm just going to make a change to the beechwood colour here as well. I'm just going to darken it up a bit. Just so it's not quite so in your face. A little bit more subtle. That's better. Let's just jump back up to the sink. I just want to check this smart mask. Android Lost says, someone who owns that sink would more than likely keep it clean. Well, yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably throwing a bit too much dirt in here. But I'm just playing with these settings to see if I can find something that looks really interesting. More than anything. But you are right. That generally a sink would not be this dirty. And I may not keep this this smart mask here, but I'm just seeing if I can come up with something that looks interesting. Cookie, it's good to see you. How are you? Cookie says, oh my god, has he finally decided to get back to add the bathroom? I have finally started to work on the bathroom for the building, for the game. Finally. Cookie says, sorry if that joke was spent already. That's okay. I'm used to it. Like 6 times. Smurfberry says, I know. Figured as much. Hola to you, Sniper Echo, as well. It's good to see you, buddy. How are you? All you guys and girls jumping in the chat, which is good to see. So we're working on the bathroom finally. And now I'm working on a really filthy sink. Filthy sink. I'm really well, Sniper. Thanks for asking. I hope you're doing well as well. It's good to see you, buddy. Morag says, inverting that makes the perfect sink cap. Smokery says, put filth all over one of your ArchViz projects at work as a Halloween gag. I don't know if they'd appreciate that. They don't have a sense of humour at work. Oh, that's not true. Some of them do. Just trying to work out how dirty I want to make this sink. Sniper says I second that to Smurfberry. Android Lost says hi to Sniper, and Sniper Echo says hi to Android Lost. I don't know if we need to go quite that dirty, to be honest. I think subtle dirt might be better than dirty. Filthy thing. Actually, I'm wondering what textures, what materials do I have here? Just having a quick look through here. I don't think I've got a blood texture, unfortunately. If I had a blood texture, I'd add that now. But I don't think I've got one. I don't think there's anything I could really even use as a blood. Maybe a painted metal. Let's have a look. Let's have a look-see. So I'm going to add that up here. Let's see what we can do. This is really not... I really should not be using this. It's not meant... It's not a blood texture, it's a paint texture, but... I'm going to turn that smart mask off. Oh, I can't do that. Android Lust says, hey. Cookie says, holla holla. Morag says, pitch black. Android Lust says, subtle dirt equals best. I agree. Otherwise, I would find another sink to wash my hands. Morag says, just a few layers and stains and grudge. Yeah, I'm just, I agree. I'm going to remove the smart mask that we used here. And I'm just I want to see what I can play with here with this color. Just why not? Where was it? I'm probably not going to keep this. Again, I'm just curious as to what effect I can come up with. I don't think I can actually come up with an effect that I like the look of. No, we'll do that another way. So I'm just going to remove that. So yes, we're just back to our slightly dirty sink. I think there's only one thing I need left to do here, and that is to jump back to the silver. We haven't done anything to the silver here, so that's brass, marble, chrome. It's this one here. So again, I'm just going to jump back to my materials. I'm going to grab one more metal for underneath of the chrome. Let's go with the rusty iron. So I'm going to throw that above the chrome. Again, we're going to mask by color selection. Let's just change the scale a little bit. Let's group these layers. I'm going to call this one chrome. Back to our smart masks. And let's throw down this dirt splashes. Again, I must make sure I mask with color selection on the group. I'm going to turn off the height and the normal. Just going to bring in a little bit of dirt and rust on the chrome of the tap. Again, I'm just going to play with the scale a little bit. Let's do a quick save and let's check out the work you guys have posted in the Discord. So we will start with Ido's image, and this is the new concept work, artwork that Ido's going to be working from to create his next character model. Beautiful concept, actually. Whoever did the concept art did an amazing job. Yeah, that's going to look cool. And again, a really interesting model it'll make as well. Big breasts again. But the design and the concept art is beautiful. Beautiful. We'll make a cool model. Add thumbprints, Smeppery says. Add just a few layer and stains and grunge. Subtle dirt is best. Bubbles, I'll call you, says, doesn't that have much detail for concept art? Too much detail for concept art? Depends on the how high res model you want to make, I guess. It'll make a cool looking model because there's a lot of detail going on here. But you are correct. Generally, when people make concept art, they probably don't put that much detail into it. But whoever did do it did a beautiful job. Bubble says, oh, for sure, it would look nice. Android Lust says, more like the final iteration of concept. Ido says, I'm still using the model I was using. It's beautiful concept art though, Ido. Ido's modelling it from this concept art. I don't believe this is Ido's concept art, which doesn't matter. He's going to make the model. This is from Wax Kink. Wax Kink has been working on a lantern for Halloween. And again, it's very cool. Wax Kink has still got some work to do on it. And this is the Holly version. It looks really cool. I love it. I love it. And I like the design of the pumpkin as well. It's really cool. Ready for creepy Halloween. But nice work, Morak. Sorry, Wax Kink. Now Morak is the next on in the list. That's why I had Morak on mine. Morak is working on this image, which again is looking very nice. Of a satellite. Okay, Morak says here that this looks really dark. As it's super reflective and there's literally nothing to reflect because it's in space, obviously. You can still fake it up a bit, make it a bit lighter. It's not about reality, it's about what looks cool, but the model's looking really cool. And Morak's going to add Space Shuttle as well, model in Space Shuttle, that'll look really cool. A Smurfy says that would be like highly rendered concept art style for sure. Gregorian says Soho Space Telescope. Ido says spooky. Android Lust says coming together. It is coming together very nicely. So that's Morak's work. And lastly, we're going to look at Android Lust's work. And Android Lust is working from some concept art to create a 3D model, and it's this model here. So let me zoom in. Again, really nice looking model, really interesting concept as well. If we look at this version here, beautiful. Love it, love it. Interesting concept, really interesting model, and nicely modeled as well. So it's looking really cool. Gregorian says, looks really good. It does. All of you guys have done amazing work, and I love looking at the stuff that you guys make. I'm just catching up on what Smurfer has posted in the Discord server in the general chat. And my apologies, Gregorian. Thank you for the follow. I do appreciate it, guys and girls. When you follow me on Twitch, so thank you, Gregorian. Yes, all of you guys, I love looking at the stuff you were making. So thank you for posting it in the Discord server. Remember, if you're not a Phil Does 3D member on the Discord, you can click the link I've just popped into chat if you want to join the Discord server. Only subs can post links in my Twitch chat, but everyone can post links in the Discord, so that's why I made the Discord server. So if you want to show your work all, post it in the Discord gallery. Gregorian says, I have a couple of 3D models, but they aren't as good. It doesn't matter what level your work is at. I love looking at everyone's work. Never feel shy about posting your work in Discord. Everyone's at different skill levels. Everyone's very helpful and very friendly on the Discord and in that watches my channel, so don't never fear showing your work on my channel. We don't have nasty people watch me, and if they did, I would ban them, so I'd love to see it work. I love to see everyone's work, regardless of where you're at skill-wise. And if you have problems with any time you're working, you can always post questions in the Discord server, or you can ask me when I'm live streaming, and if I can help you, I'm happy to try. Or if I can't help you, one of the other guys and girls on the Discord will. They're a good, friendly group of people. Android Lust says to Gregorian, we would love to see it. Bubbles Butternut says his name just brings bad memories of Game of Thrones. That is the most interesting username I've ever come across so far. Bubble Butternuts. Bubbles Butternuts. Moreg says, once I get the shuttle around the telescope, it will light itself up nicely. That's cool. That's true. Sniper says, ban, you say? Sniper is a mod, and Sniper loves to ban. All my mods, for some reason, I love to ban. I don't know why. Okay, so what we've done here is, now that we've created this vanity, I do have the same vanity but a corner unit, but we can start to reuse these textures. So when I come back next week, we'll create smart materials from these so that we can quickly texture up the next piece of the bathroom fitting. And remember, a mirror is going to go here as well. So, but I think we might leave it there for today, guys and girls. I do want to thank you all very much for hanging out with me and for watching. I will be back live again on Monday next week at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States. The stream will go live again on Friday and Saturday, but that's a catch up of Mondays and Tuesdays stream. So the next time I'm live will be Monday next week, 5 p.m. Thank you guys for showing me your work and letting me show it on stream. You guys have a great weekend. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. And I will see you all on Monday next week. You guys take care.